Bravo, Yankee Tango, please copy 3 Foxtrot with Mike Alpha QSL.
Western New York.
Yes. I don't know where he's at.
Whiskey 3, Alpha Romeo Oscar.
Alpha Romeo Oscar, we are 1 Alpha, Victor Alpha.
QSL, you're 1 Alpha, Victor Alpha, and our call sign is Whiskey 3, Alpha Romeo Oscar.
Alpha Romeo Oscar, and you are 6 Alpha, Western Pennsylvania.
All right, and so the satellite we're waiting on, and this is Ham Radio Deluxe software, is SO50. That's a Saudi satellite, and it actually is an FM repeater in space, unlike some of the other ones, which are what's called a linear inverting transponder that are sideband. This guy's an FM repeater. The pass that we're going to have, you can see the track of it. Right now it's just west of South America. It's going to come over, come up over, you get called by Bob, KSRPB, on the radio.
I did?
No, right now, yeah, I heard him on, there he is right there. Anyway, so it'll come up, and this would be a good pass for us because it's out over the water. And that limits the number of ground stations that are going to be calling at it saying CQ Field Day, CQ Field Day, which is helpful because normally when the passes are over the central US and here, every Field Day station that's got satellite is on. It's really hard to get an word in edgewise. So this could be a good pass. However, the maximum elevation looks like it's going to be about just short of maybe 30 or 40 degrees. So that makes it a little lower on the horizon. It'll be on our eastern horizon. We're probably going to hear it. Maybe not. This one's a little different in that its uplink is in the 2-meter band. This is the satellite radio. So our uplink transmit FM is 2 meter. It downlinks on 436. Might hear it, might not. Some funny things have been going on with this satellite. Like if I turn on the preamp, and one of the things with satellite operation, you want to do all of your control from the computer. Do not touch the radio if you can avoid it, because it gets things out of sync or stuff may not match up. So I'm looking for here, I'm saying turn on the preamplifier for UHF. When I do that, it goes quiet. I'm not sure what, there's some signal that's been on there. This happens all last night, all yesterday. It should not quiet like it should bring the noise level up. On all the other bands and all the other satellites I've worked, when I hit the preamp on, noise comes up, everything's cool. So I'm not sure what's going on.
What happens when you hit the preamp without using the software?
Same thing, preamp, same.
Sounds like the relays.
The preamp works though. When I'm on 2 meters, when I'm on... If you have an older radio like the TS2000, that's a great satellite radio because it transmits and receives at the same time. There's a duplexer and everything else. Great for satellite. But you can't plug it into USB. So to get it into your computer, you have to use a box like this. There's a lot of them out there. There's a Tiger Electronics, Signal Link. This happens to be West Mountain Radio Rig Blaster Advantage. And this will also do the digital modes. But all we're using it for right now is to interface the computer to this radio. Now, the newer radios all have a USB connection, and you can go straight in. You won't need one of these. But if you got an older rig, you got to have a box in between your computer and the radio. So, working satellites, I like to say, is like trout fishing. You go out and you start listening. You copy down everybody you hear in the pass band, and you possibly in field day you get their section here and their class of station, because you'll hear them calling later in the pass. And you won't be so worried about whether or not you're going to miss their exchange information. And these are the ones I was writing down last night. The station I finally worked is right there, Whiskey 1 Tango Uniform, 3 Alpha Main, and that was on the satellite XW2B. And that we
Hey
get.
Mark, what is a good website to start with to get some of the information about these satellite systems?
It's the Radio Amateur Satellite Corporation, and it's actually AMSAT, AMSAT.org. AMSAT.org is where to start. There's a lot more than that, because you'll get into, okay, well, what software do I use? Well, there's Ham Radio Deluxe, there's PC Sat 32, and there's another one I can't think of. Ken might know that.
I have the Nova for Windows.
Nova for Windows. So you got to look at software, you got to look at rig interfacing, you got to learn all the basics about passes and elevation and spin rates and acquisition of signal, loss of signal, pass bands, inverting transponders, just to add a little clarity to this. I'm not getting my voice yet. W3 Alpha Romeo Oscar.
I didn't hear it.
Whiskey 3 Alpha Romeo Oscar. Alpha Romeo Oscar. Not hearing myself.
And then that's the machine that has the database. And well, the biggest problem that I ran into was I was stupid and didn't set my Mac.
Yep, every year we do field days.
Pardon me? Come up.
Because that won't go over well.
Call your doctor about stiff muscles or confusion, which may lead to life-threatening reaction, or uncontrollable muscle movements, which may be permanent.
Well, that's
TQ Field Day from Whiskey 3 Alpha Romeo Oscar. TQ Field Day from W3 ARRL. TQ Field Day from Whiskey 3 Alpha Romeo Oscar. TQ Field Day from W3 ARRL.
TQ, Whiskey 3, Lima Alpha Kilo. Okay, one more time, guys. Give me one more time. Number 4 EK, TQ.
Whiskey 3 Alpha Romeo Oscar.
3 Lima Alpha, is that correct? Whiskey 3 Lima Alpha Kilo.
Whiskey 3 Alpha Romeo Oscar.
Kilo Foxtrot 3 Foxtrot. Good afternoon. You are 6 Alpha North.
Whiskey 3 Alpha Romeo Oscar.
With that Delta Kilo. Whiskey 7 Delta Kilo.
3 Alpha Romeo Oscar.
With Alpha
Whiskey 3 Alpha Romeo Oscar. Whiskey 3 Alpha Romeo Oscar, please copy 6 Alpha, Eastern Pennsylvania, EPA Echo Papa Alpha, QSL. Whiskey 3 Alpha Romeo Oscar. 6 Alpha, Eastern Pennsylvania. Echo Papa Alpha.
I need your class on your section, please. I need your class on your section.
W3 ARRL. 6 Alpha, Eastern Pennsylvania. EPA.